What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So this is the weekly outlook and reviews. I hope you guys are enjoying the sessions. Now, sometimes the reviews are going to be fantastic and they're just going to go in the direction we want, and sometimes they're just not going to do anything for us. Do remember that the views that I'm giving you today are of my own opinion, so please don't take them as signals. Any results you get, I do not want to be responsible for. Make sure you're using your strategy in line with your trading plan, identifying your patterns before you take those trades, and making sure that you're managing your risk at all times. So last week was a fantastic week. Some of the pairs went in our directions, others didn't. UJ kind of went up, gold went up. Then we had pound with a real weakness last week, smashing to the downside. Pound USD, pound JPY got absolutely smashed. Pound JPY especially last week to the latter end absolutely got destroyed. I hope you guys were able to take advantage of some of those. What we're going to be doing today is just taking a look at the 10 pairs as always. They're the same 10 pairs: dollar index, euro USD, pound USD, USD JPY, gold, pound gem, USD Cad, euro JPY, USD Swiss Franc, and pound Swiss Franc. So let's get started. The first pair that we're going to take a look at is the dollar index. So let's identify a few key levels on the 4H time frame that might help. And let's take a look here. So what can we see with this pair? Well, we can see that this was a key level in the market in and around 100.32. Price attempted to break above this structure and failed. And again, it's tried to break above this structure. Now, if we continue buy bias on this market, in terms of the dollar index, I'm going to want to see price breaking this structure to validate this continuation of this trend to the upside, seeing this strong bullish pressure, some sort of retest of this structure's higher lows before we have this continuation. That's pretty simple analysis. What we can see here is that the market has come to a key level. So if we don't break this, then what we could start to anticipate on this market structure is a potential reversal. In terms of structure levels to target, we can be looking at some of these structural lows. Price likes to come back to these levels. Even if it's not going to continue in a downtrend, it does like to come back to these levels. So what I would want to see is strong bearish pressure to the downside, a strong close, a potential pullback, retest of this level, preferably not. I'd like to see a lower high and then a continuation back to the downside to see if we can see some of these sells back down to this key level here. This is how I see the market for now, moving into next week. Of course, we'll have to see what happens, but I just want to make a, I just want to remind you guys that this analysis stands for about 24 to 48 hours. Then just reanalyze the market again to see what it's doing. The next pair that we'll take a look at is Euro USD. Now, this market structure has just been moving sideways for a very long period of time. As you can see, we've bounced off of this level in and around 0784. And in terms of its movement to the upside, we haven't really rallied. Every time we've tried to push up, we've failed. So we could be continuing a lower high, lower low formation here with this structure of this market. Now, the thing is with this structure, we cannot sell into this key level simply because price may bounce. We may not get a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. And then that means we face a higher probable chance of losing this trade, or at least getting break even, which is completely fine, but more than likely losing this trade, should I say. So if we continue sells, this is how I'll be seeing the market: a nice break close below structure, a retest of this level, and a continuation. And if the market does start to continue rallying to the upside, I'll account for these wick areas here just to see how the market reacts once it gets back to this level. Are we able to break it, or are we going to hold it and then see this continue range happening throughout the course of next week? For now, I'm identifying sell bias, break close, retest of the structure, continuation. And if we hold in this range, then I'll be waiting for a clear breakout either or to the upside or downside. The next pair that we'll take a look at is pound USD. Now, as I said, USD continued with the strength last week, and it was absolutely amazing. I don't know what I said at the beginning, whether I said pound strength or USD strength, really doesn't matter. But anyway, the pound took a beating. We can clearly see that this is a downtrend, and we're making lower lows and lower highs. There's no reason for me to want or need to switch my bias as of yet. I'll identify some key levels in line with the structure that we have drawn in here with this trend line. It's not a trend line per se, so I'm not trying to join the dots. I'm just trying to see how price is trading below this level. So what I'd like to see is we're in a push phase structure here. I'd like to see price pull back, retest some of these structures for a continuation to the downside. And that's as easy as it's going to be on pound USD. There's no reason for me to change my bias, just keeping it super simple and waiting for this structure to form. We're breaking structural lows. We're still indicating strong dollar at the moment. Really beautiful trending market to the downside, and these are the structures that you need to be waiting for so that you can capitalize on, and this is where you're going to be making your real money with structures that look like this. If a reversal plays out, well, we'll find out maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, if not later towards the end of the week, but for now I'm sell biased on this structure. The next pair that we'll take a look at is USD JPY. Now the dollar, JPY and gold are almost moving in the same direction, which is, it happens sometimes. They do, they're supposed to be opposite correlating pairs, but it just happens. It is what it is. So it was just a bit hard to figure out the bias of what was happening with these two this week. But in terms of what I'm seeing now, we have just recently broken a trend line to the upside. So as I said, this is just to indicate how price is trading above this level. And what I do identify in this structure is a key level as a potential lower high. So high, lower, low, lower, high. If price is going to continue in a bullish structure to the upside, then we're going to see or need to see price break the structure for a retest and a continuation. What I'll be concerned about, even if it does break and retest, is this key level here. Are we going to be able to break it, or are we going to hold it for a potential reversal on this market? For continued sells, this does look like a really nice level around 107.35 or 40, should I say. And these are the key levels that I'll be targeting, scaling down on my lower time frames to see if we get a reaction from in and around this level, and see if we can come back to some of these lows here around 106.800. So this is how I see USD JPY for now, and I'll obviously continue to monitor it over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours. The next pair that we'll take a look at is gold. I really don't like the structure anymore. It's really overextended. There's no reason to suspect a reversal on this market at the moment. While it's bullish, it's always going to be bullish. So what I'll be looking for is just to see how price can exhaust back down to some of these key levels before we have a continuation to the upside. The only time that I can draw in a key level in and around here is once price exhausts this level. And if we come back to it, we'll see if we can break above this structure or if we're going to hold for a potential reversal. Until this trend line's broken, until we start seeing lower lows and lower highs and breaks of these previous lows, there's no reason for us to start looking for sales at this moment in time. I'd say bull bias at the moment on pound, on gold, moving forward into next week. The next pair that we'll take a look at is pound JPY. Now, as I said, the pound's been taking a beating. Yen has picked up in strength clearly versus the pound, and we can see that this market structure is pushing to the downside. We have beautiful structural lower highs, we have breaks of previous structures and continued lower highs once we get this one straight, which is here. Now, with the structure of this market, I'll be looking for sells only. How I'm going to be looking at this as a key level is lower highs. As long as we stay below this level, I'm good for sells. And in terms of how I'll continue to trade this moving forward to next week, as the market's in a push phase, I'll be looking for price to pull back for some sort of lower highs, and then I'll be looking for the continuations to the downside. And if price wants to pull back from where it is now all the way back to this key level, I'll start to look to see how price is reacting, creating these wick rejections, strong bullish candles into this key level, depletion of those bullish candles, and then start seeing some sort of movements to the downside. The next pair that we'll take a look at is USD Cad. Now, with the structure of this market, it's not very clear, but let's identify some key levels. We can see that price created a level, reacted to this level, and had an immediate reaction from this level. Now, with that being said, we do have price stepping back up, making higher highs and higher lows back into this level. So there's no reason for us to draw this like this and account for what's happening with this price action. We see a reaction, but we don't see that the price action has rallied as it has done in the past. And we can see that price is holding above some of these structure levels here, meaning there could be a depletion in bearish pressure, and we could see a continued rally to the upside with the dollar strength. So what I'll be looking for next week is to see how price can break, close above this structure, looking for some sort of retest and continuations to the upside. If this happens, then I'll be good for buys. In terms of sells, the only time I'll really be looking for some good sells is if the range allows me to look for that lower high retest of this structure, back down to these lows, or even better, just a break, clean break of this previous low where it failed to break before, and then looking for those retests and continuations. But just to make my life easier moving into next week so we don't have too much analysis, I think for now, our key level is going to be in and around 41.82, 41.48, should I say. Let's see how price reacts around this level. If we have this break, we should be good for buys. And if we hold this level, then we can start to dissect the market, scaling down, using our lower time frames to look for those double tops, lower highs, and continued bearish pressure to the downside. The next pair that I'll take a look at is Euro JPY. Now you can clearly see with the structure of the market, the trend line has been broken. We did see the yen strength versus the dollar and versus the pound. So it'll be interesting to see how price reacts moving forward into next week. Are we going to continue the sell buy structure with continued lower lows and lower highs? I would say that this is a key level. We have been trying to break it for some time now. We've held it for about 8 hours. I would say though, don't pass it off if price comes back to this level and start looking for buys. If it does come back, that's completely fine. It will just be a strong exhaustion back into the structure, looking to see how price starts to react from this level. But better still, what I'd like to see is how price continues to push from this level, creating those lower highs and seeing if we can have this trend change from bullish structure back to bearish structure to the downside. So this is how I'll be looking at Euro Yen moving into next week. The next pair that we'll take a look at is USD Swiss Franc. This market structure is absolutely awful. We did have dollar strength last week, but clearly versus the Swiss franc, we've just been moving sideways. Nothing to say more about this pair. And until we start seeing a clean break close above this structure with a retest and a continuation, or a break below structure with a retest and continuation, I personally won't really be looking at anything on this pair. I personally won't be looking to do anything with this pair until this happens. The final pair that we'll take a look at is the pound Swiss franc. Again, pound took a beating. Swiss franc was equally as strong as the dollar last week, and we can see the strength came through on the pound. We can see that the structure of this market is clearly sell biased to the downside. We're trading above this key level here in the market. This red line is my key level, yes. And our lower high structures here, where price created a level, came back to a level and rallied from. So what I'll be looking for moving forward to next week is to see how price pulls back on this structure to create some sort of lower highs, double tops of this previous structure, and see if we have some of these continuations back to the downside. Again, you can't call a reversal on this yet. I'm not looking at data to the left because, to be honest with you, it means nothing to me. I'm looking at current data in terms of the structure, and until I see a pullback, lower high formation, or price coming back to some of these key areas where we can expect a reaction from, I would only be looking for sells. Buys, well, we'll see what happens moving forward Wednesday, Thursday's time. So that's the analysis for the 10 pairs. I hope that was helpful. Nice, quick and simple. Get your minds prepared moving forward into next week. I'm wishing everybody a fantastic trading week. Just remember, risk before reward. Be patient, guys. Stay disciplined, stay focused, and most of all, trust the process. And as I always say, if you've enjoyed this content, please smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you haven't. And until next time, take care.